Hi guys, my name's Jack Nagel and I've been in recovery for over 10 years now and completely transformed my life out of addictive patterns. And with Real Drug Talk and our treatment company called Connection-Based Living, I've helped hundreds of other people completely change their life as well. Like Haley, who's over 6 years in recovery. You can check her story out on our YouTube channel. And James, who's over 2 years in recovery now, you can also check his story out on our YouTube channel. Because of the mad times that we live in, we have put together a book. It's called The 11 Definitive Steps to Transform Your Life Out of Addictive Patterns Without Having to Go to Rehab. You can find it by scrolling down in the description that I'm pointing at here. If you just scroll down and click that link, it'll take you to the special offer on the book. It's super cheap. And also you get some free bonuses along with it as well. So if you're looking to transform out of addictive patterns and get some change and, have things to be different and joyful and have some freedom in your life, I'd highly recommend taking a look at this book. It could be the most important thing you read in 2021 and 2022 moving forward. Into the video, guys. Peace. So that's interesting because I actually spoke to and the episode will come out soon as well. Gavin Krasiska, who I'm sure played for the same club, and you've probably seen his story and stuff like that. And he actually, he was someone kind of special to me, and that's why I'm excited for you to kind of talk about all the stuff that you're going through in all the different channels that you are. Because, when I was kind of getting off drugs, he was about 5 months ahead of me, and just like, I talked to him and stuff and sort of knew him from recovery circles, but didn't know him super well. But just having that role model was like massive for me. But he said the same thing when we had him on the other day, was that gambling in particular, it's just such a massive issue that, seems to be poking its head up in the AFL, not just for the community, like with the ads that are displayed, but for the players for various reasons and stuff. Like, has that kind of been your experience as well? Like there's just so much pressure, so much of a bubble. There's just people are just looking for a release.
Yeah, well, I don't think I don't think clubs have enough control over players and what they do in their spare time, and look, probably rightly so. But I think there needs to be an element of there's a lot of education around gambling. There's a lot of education around what guys can be doing in their spare time in terms of study, any courses. The one thing that is really, and it is provided to players through the AFLPA and the AFL, is a lot of education grants and there's a lot of good things that are actually provided to players and funded. But I feel like the demands of football don't really allow for that to happen, because what happens, guys get 1 day off a week. They don't necessarily want to be going and putting in their head in the books for 8 hours because it's mentally draining. So I think there needs to be a balance between guys' training loads and then also making sure that they're actually doing something in their spare time. Because in season, speaking from experience, in season you get a lot of spare time. You get a lot of sort of 3/4, half day training days, a lot of time. And generally, like, your half days are in the morning. So by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock's when the races and stuff are starting. So you're going into, dangerous periods of the day for people that have got, the two things that a gambling addict probably doesn't want is time and money. And footballers got both of them. So they've got a lot of spare time and they've got a lot of money. So I think it's just about making sure that guys are actually, and making it compulsory that guys are doing something in their spare time to make sure that they've got something, one, when they transition out of football, and two, to keep them healthy whilst they're playing football mentally. So, because that's the other big issue with football.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Whilst you're playing football, you've got all these challenges like what we're speaking about now. And then when you've finished football, you've got even bigger challenges about transitioning out into the real world and having something behind you so you can continue working and continue providing for your families. Because, football's good and, you get paid well, but, not too many players can finish football and actually just retire. they've still got to be able to sort of have an income of sorts. And really, that's where a lot of players get into trouble, because they don't do anything whilst they're playing football. And, you know, they might have pissed up a lot of money against the wall, either gambling, drugs, partying, whatever it is. And then they finish and they've got not much left. And then they don't have a job either. So it's all of a sudden it becomes a big mental challenge as well. So there's a lot of work to be done in that space. And I think the thing that, you know, I guess Gavin does well is, you know, Gavin's experienced this. And I think that's where, you know, Collingwood have done some good things with him, because he's actually got a lot of experience in that area. Like, a lot of clubs will get psychs and people that have done uni degrees and this sort of stuff, but they've got no experience with it. Sometimes, you know, and particularly for me, I got more out of talking to people that have lived experience and had gone through similar things to me than I ever did out of any therapist. And that's
100%.
Therapists weren't useful for me, because they definitely were, but they were useful for other things other than actually talking about my addiction. They were good for unpacking sort of things that had gone on in my childhood and stuff like that I probably wouldn't have consciously thought of. But in terms of, you know, them being able to relate to me taking a packet of endone at once, they would have no idea. It's just something that they don't really get. And that's something you can pick up on as someone that is in, you know, when you're going to, you can pick up on the fact that they don't really have much idea of what you're actually talking about. And you can almost feel that sense of judgment as well.
Yeah.
Just a quick interruption to let you guys know that we've created a complete new book called The 11 Definitive Steps to Get Recovery Without Going to Rehab. And for a short time only, we've got a super special deal on it where you can get the book for a heavily discounted price, plus some free bonuses, the book audio recorded, and a free self-care planner that I've used to help me start my day and finish my day in a really nice and freeing fashion. So if that's of interest to you and you're looking for some answers on how to get some transformation out of addiction without having to lock yourself away in rehab for ages, maybe you might want to check out the book. Search for it in the description below. Back to the video. Peace.
It's really funny that you say that. I sit on this this government thing, and I often joke with like the politicians and the bureaucrats, like, that a requirement of them sitting around talking about it is that they should all smoke some ice and drop a few prescription pills so that they know why people do what they do. And I really love that you say that, because I'm exactly the same. And something that I'm really passionate about, and that so many people say, is just the lived experience thing is the biggest factor. You know, if it doesn't completely help, it definitely opens up the door for someone to trust and get some hope and belief that they can do it too. Yeah.
It's comforting for people. People got a real glimpse into someone who's into recovery and doing well. And that's like that's like that's the little bit of hope that people need early on in recovery, that can be the biggest difference in, you know, someone going north to someone going south. Like, it's it can be a very big, powerful thing.
Yeah, I love it, mate. I love it. So I actually have quite a few questions for you off the back of some of the stuff that you just said. So the first one I want to ask, because I sort of noticed this about me, and there's a couple of guys that I'm mates with that were kind of pretty into, say, like bodybuilding, or like were in the military and like never really had any like addiction problems or anything like that. But when I talk to them, almost like that sort of like obsessive type like nature and that, you know, compulsive stuff, they're like, oh, I'm exactly like that. And I reckon if I hadn't have channeled it into this, I might have channeled it into something, for a lack of a better term, negative. Do you feel like that played a factor in sort of like some drug use and different behaviors coming out? Just like, because I imagine, like, I'm trying to imagine like what the schedule looks like for like a professional athlete, particularly AFL, as you said, one day off. It sounds like it's just all in, like, intense. And then if you're not channeling it into something like that, it naturally kind of goes somewhere else. Is that sort of part of it, do you think, for people?
Yeah, well, I definitely think there can be stuff integrated into the schedules. And I said this really from the moment I started having mental health issues, was there needs to be some time in the schedule for players to it's almost like, any spare time that you have is always encouraged to go and get out in the ground and do some more goal kicking, or get in the gym and do some more strength training. Everything's physical, like everything's like anything that any time that you get, it's like always about doing stuff that's going to physically enhance your performance.
Yeah,
I think there's a big opportunity for clubs to go, no, like we're going to get our guys to invest in the mental side of things. So it can be a number of different things. You could get guys doing yoga, you could get guys doing meditation, mindfulness, art therapy. There's so many things that are out there that these high performance managers could be exposed to and could be getting great benefits out of. But I think it's just because it's not what they've learned at school, and it's probably left of field and it's not in their wheelhouse in terms of their expertise, that they don't look at it. Like, I just think there's such a big thing now, and there's a real shift between. There's a real shift from like your old school coaches, where more was like the way of doing, where it's now like very, coaches are very nurtured, and it's all about building relationships and making sure that your players are mentally well. And I think they just sort of go hand in hand, where like the way times are now with, as I just mentioned, coaches and players, I think it's just time to actually start bringing more of that stuff into the program, where guys can get sort of, it's compulsory to do a mindfulness session, or it's, compulsory to do a yoga session, just things where you're actually unwinding and mentally it's refreshing. Because if you're 100% go all the time, you get out of the, your training facility, and you go home and you just got no energy for anything else. And it can be draining, and that's where you can get onto the couch and you can easily get your phone out and you can put Sky Channel on and you can start betting. Before you know it, you're blowing thousands of dollars, and you're also creating a bad habit. So it's I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of, like I mentioned earlier, what guys are actually doing with their time, because it's just the pay that players are getting paid now is only getting more and more and more for COVID anyway. But it's and the time that players are getting, they're only getting more time off, because it's always about like being efficient now and like doing stuff efficiently. So that's obviously going into more guys getting more time, and and then obviously you marry that up with the amount of advertising that's always constantly in your face, and as a player you get people wanting to blow wind up your ass and inviting you to all these events and wanting to give you all these free bets in your account. Like, God, I got it off that many parasites, trying to get money out of me, and all they wanted was one thing, and that was my money. I haven't spoken to one of those people since that I stopped gambling.
How interesting.
It's like, fuck, you're just shit people, to be honest. Like,
I
can't say it any other way.
Hope you enjoyed that video, and thanks for supporting the Real Drug Talk YouTube channel. Every video you watch, comment, subscribe to helps us to push through the YouTube algorithms and hopefully reach more people and help them out. Now listen, we're living in the most crazy times for the past 100 years, and because of that, as I mentioned throughout this video, we've created a brand new ebook that we have a special deal on called the 11 Definitive Steps to Transforming Out of Addictive Patterns Without Having to Go to Rehab. So if that sounds of interest to you, check out the links below. You can click on it and claim the super special deal that we have on it at the moment. Again, hope you and your family are doing okay, and would love for you to check out the rest of the videos on our channels and share them with anyone else that you think it might help. See you in the next video. Peace.